Okay, let's just jump right in. How about this for a job offer? First thing they tell you is your salary, it's tripled. Instantly, no questions asked, just a 3x bump on whatever you're making right now. It's an absolutely incredible offer, right? But believe it or not, that's just the start. On top of all that cash, they're going to throw in a free house, one valued at up to 5 million baht. Your utilities like water and electricity, yeah, that's covered for the whole first year. And to top it all off, you get something they call Zeus insurance. Now, hang on to that name, Zeus. We're definitely going to circle back to that. So you have to be asking, what kind of job could possibly offer all this? Well, the answer isn't of this world. This entire mind-blowing offer is part of a project detailed in a document called K-Universe, Civilization, a Space War Manual. You heard that right. It's a full-on blueprint for permanent space colonization, and today, we are going to break down exactly what's inside. So here's the game plan. We'll start by unpacking that crazy job offer. Then we'll dive into how this manual uses Sun Tzu's ancient strategies for a war in space. After that, it's all about the tech. We're talking AI gods and laser beams. We'll explore what life would actually be like out there on the frontier. And finally, we'll get to how you could, actually sign up for this whole thing. All right, first up, a galactic job offer. You have to wonder, why start with something that sounds almost too good to be true? Well, the manual is pretty clear about it. This is not your typical 9-to-5 job. It's a lifetime commitment to what is probably one of the most dangerous and ambitious projects humanity has ever dreamed up. So those benefits, they're not just perks. They're what it takes to find people willing to leave everything behind and become true pioneers. So if the stakes are that high, you meet a plan that's just as brilliant. And this is where the manual takes a really fascinating turn. The entire strategic philosophy for this super futuristic mission is built on something ancient, like really ancient. It's all based on Sun Tzu's 2,500-year-old book, The Art of War, but adapted for a high-tech future among the stars. And a core principle for the whole operation is pulled straight from Sun Tzu: win without fighting. Now you're probably thinking, how on earth does that apply to conquering space? Well, the manual has a very specific idea about that. Their interpretation is all about using soft power and space diplomacy. So instead of just showing up with bigger and better weapons, the strategy is all about building alliances, expanding your influence peacefully. It's about making yourself the one indispensable partner out in the cosmos, not the interstellar bully. This blend of ancient wisdom and future tech is woven through the entire strategy. Sun Tzu said you have to know the enemy, know yourself. The manual translates that to using AI to analyze everything, from planetary resources to potential rivals. Another principle, be like water, which means be adaptable. Well, that becomes using adaptive AI to change strategies on the fly in the totally unpredictable environment of space. So you've got this ancient playbook, but it's being executed by some unbelievably advanced technology, which brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the AI gods and laser tech, the artificial minds and the serious firepower they control. First up is the Master Planner, an AI named Kongming. And that name is a big deal. It's from a legendary Chinese strategist famous for his genius-level intellect. So this AI is the brains of the whole operation, responsible for the high-level strategy and analyzing any situation the colonists could possibly run into. And in a really clever move, the next AI is named after Kongming's greatest rival from history, Sima Yi. And its job is a perfect fit. This system takes the big plans from Kongming and makes the hard calls in the moment. This is the AI in charge of decision-making and combat strategy, deciding the next move in any fight. And finally, of course, you've got the muscle, AI Zeus. With a name like that, you know exactly what it does, right? This is the weapons and space attack system. When talking is done and force is needed, Zeus is the one that brings the thunder. So what kind of thunder are we talking about? The manual lists some seriously wild hardware. There's a Zeus lightning laser, which you'd expect, a kinetic weapon ominously named Thor's hammer, but then you get stuff like soul stunts technology. The manual doesn't even explain what that is, which is almost scarier. It sounds like some kind of psychological or neurological weapon. These are the advanced and frankly terrifying tools these AIs have to work with. But all this strategy and all these weapons, they're not the main point. It all serves one single purpose. Which brings us to our next section, life on the frontier. The ultimate goal here is to build a brand new thriving human civilization out there among the stars. The manual breaks this monumental task down into 4 clear steps. First, you explore and select the perfect planet. Then, you start building all the essential infrastructure. After that, you manage the local resources. And finally, the long-term project, creating a brand new society. So, what does building a new civilization actually look like? Well, it means establishing the absolute fundamentals of life. We're talking about modular housing that can be put up and expanded easily, systems for sustainable food production, and the tech to mine for resources right there on the planet. The ultimate goal is complete self-sufficiency, to cut the cord from Earth entirely. And the plan is incredibly detailed when it comes to taking care of the colonists. It lays out a complete healthcare system with separate hospitals for military and civilians, a dedicated center for elderly care, a space emergency aid unit, and even facilities for advanced genetic and stem cell research. This is a society that's being built to last for generations. But this future isn't just going to be built by AIs and robots. The manual makes it very clear that the most critical operations will be handled by highly trained, elite human units. It even names a few, like the Zapper unit, the King Cobra unit, and the SEAL unit. These are the people who will be the true pioneers on the ground. Which brings this whole explainer full circle. We started with that incredible job offer, and now we arrive at our final section, the path to the stars, which details exactly how someone could join this unbelievably ambitious future. And it's all laid out in a pretty straightforward 4-step process. It starts with an online registration, followed by a preliminary screening. Then comes the really hard part, rigorous skill and ability testing. But if you pass all that, you move on to specialized training to become one of the very pioneers destined for a new world. So from tripling your salary to a war manual based on Sun Tzu, from AI gods to building a new civilization from scratch, this is one of the most ambitious proposals ever conceived. And so the manual leaves us with one final, provocative question. If this is the future, are you ready to join?